ever felt totally stuck when you try to speak English, even though you know all the grammar rules?
Ah, absolutely. It's like the sentence is in your head, perfect, but your mouth just freezes.
Exactly. And then you worry so much about the verb tense that you miss the whole conversation.
It's the worst feeling. You feel like a great writer, but a terrible speaker.
So how do we fix that? How do we keep that flow, that fluency long term?
That is the topic of the day, my friends, because staying fluent is harder than becoming fluent sometimes.
Hi everyone, I'm Mia.
And I'm Leo.
Welcome to the English Blend. Today we're talking about how to stay fluent long term. We're aiming to help you stop worrying about perfection and just keep talking.
We want you to communicate smoothly, even if you make a few little mistakes along the way.
Because fluency equals communication, not perfection, right? That's our motto.
Exactly. So grab your coffee and let's get started.
Okay, Leo, let's start with the basics for our A2 and B1 listeners. What is fluency really?
When we talk about fluency in this podcast, we mean being able to speak easily and quickly.
It's about flow. It's about not stopping every 2 seconds to think about if you use the past simple or the present perfect.
Yes, fluency is the speed and the continuity of your speech. Can you keep the conversation moving?
And then we have accuracy.
Accuracy, on the other hand, is about being correct. It's about perfect grammar, perfect pronunciation, and perfect word choice.
Most students start by aiming for 100% accuracy. They spend hours studying grammar books.
And that's necessary, of course. You need grammar to be understood.
But if you prioritize accuracy over fluency, it actually blocks you.
It creates what we call the grammar block.
The grammar block is that moment where you stop speaking because your brain is trying to edit your sentence before it's even left your mouth.
It's like having a little editor sitting on your shoulder saying, wait, did you use I have gone or I went?
And by the time you figure it out, the person you were talking to has moved on to a different topic.
Or they just stare at you, waiting. That pressure makes the block even worse.
So, if we want long-term fluency, we have to reduce the power of that inner editor.
We have to accept that making errors is part of learning. It's not the end of the world.
That's our first useful phrase, not the end of the world.
When we say something is not the end of the world, we mean it's not a major disaster. It's a small problem or even just a normal part of life.
So if you say, I went to the store yesterday and buy milk, instead of, I bought milk, is that the end of the world?
No. The person understands you perfectly. You made a small error, but the communication was successful.
Communication, successful, fluency win.
Exactly. If we only chase perfection, we never speak. And if we never speak, we never get fluent. It's a bad cycle.
Think about when you learned to ride a bicycle. Did you wait until you understood all the physics?
No, you just got on and you fell a few times.
And falling is the English equivalent of making a mistake. You dust yourself off and you keep going.
That's a great analogy. You need to practice moving, not just studying the manual.
And this focus on rules, Leo, it often comes from the traditional classroom environment.
Yes, where tests punish mistakes so students learn to fear them. But real life is not a test. A conversation at a cafe or a quick chat with a colleague is about exchange.
It's about conveying information, even if the information delivery system, your grammar, is slightly bumpy.
Let's talk about a specific scenario. Imagine you're at work. You need to tell your boss that the meeting room is booked.
If you stop to worry about whether to say, the room has been booked or the room is booked, you waste time.
You just need to get your point across. That's our second key phrase.
To get your point across means that the listener fully understands your main message.
This is the ultimate goal of fluency. It's the opposite of the grammar block.
For example, you could say, hey boss, meeting room, busy now. Tomorrow morning, okay?
Is that perfect grammar? No. Will the boss know the meeting room is currently unavailable? Yes.
Point across? Absolutely. And that speed builds confidence. Confidence builds fluency.
It all feeds itself. But sometimes learners feel discouraged because they feel like they should sound native.
And that's a huge mental barrier for long-term fluency. That goal is often impossible or at least unnecessary.
You don't need to sound like you grew up in London or New York. You need to be understood globally.
Which brings us back to prioritizing that core message. Prioritizing flow.
Let me share a quick story to illustrate this, Leo. A cultural note, if you will.
I love a good story. Lay it on me.
Okay, so I remember when I was in Italy, and I only spoke very basic touristy Italian, maybe A2 level.
But you needed coffee, which is always level 5 urgency.
Exactly. I walked into a very traditional coffee bar. I was trying to order a cappuccino, but I kept mixing up the verb for want and the verb for have.
Oh no, did you accidentally say you wanted to be a cappuccino?
Almost. I was trying to say, I want one cappuccino, please. But I ended up saying something like, I am having the wish of a cappuccino. It was terrible.
But did the barista understand?
The barista looked confused for a second. He paused. Then he looked at the cup I was pointing at and said, in slow Italian, Ah, cappuccino.
And you said, sì, cappuccino.
Precisely. I used terrible grammar, incorrect conjugation, and awkward sentence structure, but because I kept speaking, I didn't stop and freeze. The context saved me.
And you got your coffee. Mission success.
That's the key. That's why we need to practice speaking without constant self-correction, because the real world is forgiving if you just keep going.
That little story shows that fluency in action is brave. It requires you to just launch the sentence, even if it feels incomplete.
It's about embracing the moment. Don't wait for the perfect sentence structure that you learned back in school.
Think of English like a road map. You know where you want to go, your main idea, and you know the major roads, key vocabulary. Sometimes you take a detour through a small, messy side street, a grammatical error, but you still arrive at your destination.
And the more detours you take, the faster you learn the right way next time.
So, let's move into the practical steps. We need action items for long-term fluency retention. We need steps they can use every day.
Absolutely. We have 4 solid tips to keep that fluency engine running.
Tip number 1, massive listening input.
We talk about this a lot, but it's foundational. Fluency isn't just speaking, it's listening and reacting quickly.
You need to fill your brain with natural English sounds and patterns. This helps you skip the translation step.
If you are constantly listening to podcasts, YouTube, movies, your brain starts recognizing patterns without translating them into your native language first.
This is crucial for long-term fluency because it keeps the language active in the subconscious.
Try to listen for at least an hour a day, even if it's background noise while you're cooking or cleaning.
Don't try to understand every single word. That goes against our goal of fluency over accuracy.
Just listen for the rhythm and the flow. How do native speakers connect words?
We don't say, I am going to the store. We blend it. I'm going to go to the store.
That massive listening input teaches your mouth and your ear how those words naturally compress.
If you stop listening, those connections start fading and you start translating again, which kills fluency.
So make listening a daily automatic habit, like drinking water.
Tip number 2, learn in chunks, not single words.
This is powerful. A chunk is a group of words that naturally go together.
Instead of learning rely and on separately, you learn the chunk rely on.
Instead of learning look and forward and to, you learn I look forward to.
These chunks are pre-built sentences or phrases that you can immediately use in conversation. They skip the grammar check.
Why? Because when you use a chunk, you don't have to think about conjugating verbs or adding prepositions. The work is already done.
It's like using Legos. Instead of building every small brick, you have a pre-built section of the wall ready to go.
This is a massive accelerator for fluency because it reduces the cognitive load. You don't have to think subject, verb, object, preposition. You just grab the whole phrase. It was great talking to you.
Try listing 5 new chunks every week and practicing them aloud. Use them when you are talking to yourself in the mirror. Focus on chunks related to your daily life. work meetings, ordering food, expressing opinions. If you work in an office, learn chunks like, could you follow up on that? Or, let's circle back later.
Use them. Even if you don't understand the exact grammatical structure of the phrase, trust the chunk.
Tip number 3. Embrace the 3-second rule.
This one is hard for perfectionists, but it is a game changer for fluency. The rule is simple. When someone asks you a question or when you want to respond, you must start speaking within 3 seconds. If you wait longer than 3 seconds, your inner editor has time to wake up, sit down, get a cup of tea, and start proofreading your sentence before you've even started.
And then you freeze. The grammar block returns. If you don't know the perfect word in those 3 seconds, use a simpler word or use a filler.
Fillers are your friend. Say, well, or let me think about that. Or actually,
Those fillers buy you time, but crucially, they keep the sound flowing, which maintains the conversational rhythm.
don't stop the flow just because you forgot the word exhilarating. Just say, really exciting, and keep moving.
The 3-second rule forces you to trust your first instinct, which is usually the most fluent part of your brain speaking.
And if you start speaking and realize halfway through your sentence that the verb is wrong, what do?
You finish the sentence anyway. You finish strong, and then you mentally note the mistake for later review.
Do not stop and restart the sentence perfectly. That sends a message to your brain, stopping is okay. We want the opposite message. Keep going. Communication is the goal.
Tip number 4. Find low-stakes practice.
If every English conversation you have is high stakes, like a job interview or a presentation, you will always feel pressure. High pressure equals higher grammar block risk.
So, you need low-stakes practice environments. What does that mean?
It means places where mistakes don't matter much. Think of ordering coffee at a busy cafe where the barista only cares about latte or cappuccino.
Or perhaps talking to strangers online about hobbies where you know you might never talk to them again.
Another great low-stakes environment is self-talk. Talk to yourself in English while you do chores.
Narrate your life. I am pouring the milk. Now I am closing the fridge. The floor is slightly dirty.
This removes the conversational pressure, but still forces your mouth and brain to produce English automatically.
Practice in a safe space first, so when the high-stakes conversation arrives, the speaking muscle is already warm.
We mentioned 2 useful phrases, not the end of the world, and get your point across. Let's add one more, because sometimes, even when we try our best, we feel defeated.
Yes, the feeling of suddenly stopping progress, the feeling of being stuck.
Our third phrase is to hit a wall.
If you hit a wall, it means you've reached a point where progress stops, or it feels incredibly difficult to move forward.
Maybe you've been studying for a year, and suddenly you feel like you aren't learning anything new. You've hit a wall.
This happens in long-term fluency maintenance too. You feel fluent, then suddenly you forget basic vocabulary. It's normal.
When you hit a wall, you should not stop practicing entirely. You should change the strategy.
If you hit a wall studying grammar, maybe switch to watching funny YouTube videos in English for a week. Massive listening input.
Or if you hit a wall with vocabulary, focus only on learning those chunks we talked about.
Hitting a wall is not failure. It's a signal that your brain needs a different kind of exercise.
So remember these 3 core phrases for long-term fluency.
Don't worry about errors because it's not the end of the world.
Focus on the main idea so you get your point across.
If you feel stuck, remember you've just hit a wall and need a change of pace. This has been a really detailed discussion, Mia. Let's do a quick recap for our listeners.
Great idea. Our core lesson today is that long-term fluency is maintained by prioritizing flow over perfection.
We defined fluency as the speed and continuity of speech and accuracy as grammatical correctness. We want to reduce the grammar block.
We saw that story where imperfect language at the cafe still achieved the goal, communication.
And we gave you 4 essential tips for keeping that long-term flow.
Tip 1 was massive listening input, drowning your brain in natural English every day.
Tip 2 was to stop learning single words and start learning chunks of language.
Tip 3, the most challenging one, is the 3-second rule. Start speaking fast and don't stop.
And tip 4 was finding low-stakes practice so you can speak without the crippling fear of mistakes.
Remember, practice is the key to maintenance. You have to use it or you lose it.
That was a great talk.
Yes, keep practicing those fluency muscles every day and don't forget to incorporate those chunks into your speech.
We hope this helps you get your point across more smoothly in your daily life.
Join us next time on The English Blend, where we'll be discussing common English mistakes related to travel.
See you in the next episode of The English Blend.